Hi and welcome to the first video from ashonthefire.com in association with bodhiespath.com. As some of you may have noticed, the blogs have been a bit slow recently. That's mainly due to the fact that we've recently had a son, which is a fantastic thing for us. Now, one of the big things we were keen to overcome when we had our child was to make sure that we were still getting out and about, and that is possible. We've been out with our son since he was about 2 weeks old, as you should be able to see from the pictures coming up. For us, it's been fantastic to be still able to get out and about with him and get him involved in the things that we liked from a very early age. But the key thing is with any new parents is that you're quite concerned about what sort of kit you should use to keep your son happy. Really, it's a similar principle to what you'd have on a daily basis with yourselves whilst you're out and about, thinking about insulation layers, base layers, outer layers, shell layers, waterproof layers. And surprisingly, there is quite a bit of stuff out there for babies, which I didn't realise before we started looking at it. Some great sites. Little Trekkers in particular is a very good one for kit, as well as Merino Bambino, which gives very good high quality merino clothing for children. On initial looking at it, it does look expensive, but it's worth shelling out for it because your child will be comfortable. The one thing you won't be able to get on a regular basis is feedback per se of "I'm too hot mummy" or "I'm too cold daddy." The best way to gauge that is with your little finger. Just pop it down inside their top if they feel cold inside their core, or around their core, then you need to put on another layer. If they're hot and clammy, you need to strip off a layer, and we use that as a guide, and it's been quite effective for us. One of the top things we found that was quite useful and used from a very young age was this shell material that's come from Polarano Pret. It's effectively a windstopper fabric that's got a DWR treatment that was extremely effective for us out in snowy conditions, wet conditions, windy conditions, and kept our son very warm with a front carry which we use for baby Ewan. He's now about 5 months old, so we've moved on from the front carry to a back carrier because he's a strong little lad, but he's doing well, and this is still in use for us. The one thing to consider when you go from a front carry with your son on the front or daughter on the front is that they'll be taking heat from you. When they go to a back carrier and a carrier, they're no longer getting that heat from you, so it's worth adding an extra layer or two on top of them. So in addition to clothing, what other considerations are worth having together for your son or daughter when you head out? If, like me, you have multiple bits of kit and you go in multiple places, you'll rapidly get fed up of packing loads of different things and having stuff floating around a bag. One of the simplest things I came up with that worked well for me and our family is actually to pack it all in an easy accessible pouch. This is a Sea to Summit large packing case that's made out of sil nylon ripstop material, so it's fairly waterproof, has a mesh top and two very nice grab handles on either side, and it's a very lightweight construction, meaning that it doesn't take too much excess weight. The other thing I like about having a mesh top is I can immediately see what it is. I have a few of these cubes for different things, and I don't want to be taking the wrong kit for the wrong time. What it means by having it in this cube setup though is I can literally pull it from one place to the next, one bag to the next, from my day pack to my 3-day kit, put it back in the car, my Manny bag, and now into the baby carrier. It fits nicely. So what do I actually carry in this kit? It's designed for a day's usage with my son, so that if there is anything I need to come up in the day or an afternoon in particular, I've got it covered. First of all, babies are going to puke. We have a muslin cloth that has multiple uses, but from our side this muslin is perfect. It's great for mopping up sick. It's also good for laying out on the ground if you need a little bit of extra insulation or just need to quickly put them down, and all those sort of spills that you get with a child, drying them off. In addition to that, I carry a lot of insulation layers. Normally we have a Merino Bambino hat that he'll be wearing when he heads out, but I also carry a spare. These are very simple knotted little hats. It basically means that effectively if you want to make the hat any smaller or any larger, you undo the knot and tighten it down or tighten it up. Fantastic bit of kit, very simple. Always carry a spare. You never know when you may get caught in a downpour and wet out. The first hat, and you have a spare for them to go with it. Change of clothes, important. I carry a spare. Baby grows for obvious reasons. these guys are quite good at soiling themselves on a regular basis, and all sorts of accidents can happen. You want to get them back into something clean and dry, and with that in mind I also carry a spare vest. Now for an afternoon up to about sort of 4 to 5 hours, this is fine normally for our son, because we know how frequently accidents are likely to happen. If for a whole day, I'll actually take 2 of these. In addition to this, which I sort of classify as something you're going to change on a regular basis, have a little piece of extra insulation if there's any problems. Just a very simple wool jumper for him, and also his grandma's knitted booties. Grandma's knitted jumper would also be very good at this situation. For me, this is pretty much everything I need for the afternoon into a day for a change of clothes, insulation, and I feel comfortable, combined with the soft shell baby grow. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable about my son and his temperatures whilst he's out there. But there are other needs they have too. It's just not from a clothing perspective. What I find quite useful to have with me is also changing setup. This is a very nice thing from Pampers. Has a waterproof backing to it, and an absorbent, slightly insulating front layer. Folds up, very, very light. If he decides to have further accidents while she's changing, this mat will pick him all up. Because of the waterproof layer, nothing seeps through from the other side, especially when you're on grass or ground or anything like that. I also then carry a small pack of wet wipes. You can get these from pretty much any major supermarket, smaller size than you'd get from your normal wet wipe pack, so it's lighter. There's 24 wipes in here. I know that's going to last me at least a couple of days on a regular basis. Change the nappies. As with your clothing as well at this point, what you need to be considering is the fact that your baby's going to increase in size. So my son, when he went out at 2 weeks, we're putting in his newborn nappies. He's now on a size 3 nappy and soon change into a size 4. As you upgrade and as he or she grows, it's important that you change everything the size in this kit at the same point. So have those nappies within the pack. I have 4 of those in the pack. Again, I find that's just about enough to cover him for the day, as well as a few diaper bags so that they don't stink out my pack when it goes back in. And that sort of pretty much covers him from the basis of a changing perspective. If your son or daughter does have issues with nappy rash or anything like that, it's also worth putting in a bit of Bepanthen or some Sudocrem. We're quite fortunate because that's not an issue with us, but if it was, I would also be carrying that in the pack. So moving on from changing, when we move into a different side of things, we're actually into feeding. My son was breastfed the majority of the way through, but there were a few situations where my wife wasn't with me and he needed to be able to feed him, or if he got hungry. So in this I carry a few different things to be able to cover for that. Most major brands make carton size. These are 200 mils, which is just about enough for one feed. For my son, he feeds every 3 to 4 hours at the moment, at 5 months. We had him on that within about 3 to 4 weeks. And that sort of timing. So I know this covers me for up to 6 hours. If I'm going to intend to be out longer than that, I'll take more packs, basically. I also have this sterile, disposable bottles. You can pick these up from any pharmacy. Perfect for these sort of situations. They weigh nothing, they take up no space. But if you need to give them a quick feed and you haven't got anything, they're perfect. I've tested one already, so I know how it works. It's important that you already do that so you know it happens. I have 2 of those, but I also have the cut-out instructions on how to use it just in case. I can't remember. And that's pretty much all of my pack, and I can pull it from one side to the other. As you can see to summit, cube crushes down very small. The only other thing that we've picked up as a very useful tip is for when you're putting your kids on the floor, your rain sack cover is perfect, because it has a nice little compartment at the bottom to pop their feet in. If you put them on a flat mat, they're going to have their feet in dirty puddles. This is nice and waterproof. We normally put this down, put the pamper liner inside, and put my son on top to change him, meaning his feet are trapped inside that rucksack cover. Anyway, that's enough for that video. I hope that was of useful. These are the things that we take out on a daily basis with us when we're off and out on the hills to cover all eventualities for our son. I hope that gives you some ideas. Coming up in the future, we'll be talking about different ways of carrying, but I'll finish with a few pictures of where we've been and what we've done with them so far.